Welcome back, everyone, to episode 20 of We've Lost a Step with Ethan and Caroline. Caroline, right off the hop, name a famous athlete that wore number 20, and I'll give you a hint. He played for the Baltimore Ravens, and
Um,
he played safety.
oh, I know him. It's on the tip of my tongue. All I want to say is Troy Polamalu, and
No,
that's
he
not.
played for the
He
Pittsburgh
played for the
Steelers.
Steelers. Fine Hawaiian. Oh, I can see him in my brain. Marlon Gordon, is that his name?
Oh, I don't even know who that is. No,
That's
Ed
not a
Reed.
guy. I think I just made that name up.
Ed Reed,
Oh,
famous
duh.
famous player wearing number 20. Also Ray Allen, also Tony Stewart
Ray
from
Allen.
hockey. Luke Robitaille wore number
Yeah,
20.
it's Pat.
So it's
It's
episode
perfect.
Robitaille, episode Reed, episode Tony Stewart, episode 20. But I digress. Caroline, how are you? It's been a week. I know you just did some traveling last weekend. How'd that go?
We both traveled,
We
actually,
did. We
both
did.
on the move consistently.
Ah,
I was
yes.
in Montreal. It was so fun. Was there Thursday through Sunday. Easy 4 hour drive.
Nice.
No issues at the border. No one even at the border.
Wow.
And
Well, that's
Montreal,
a little concerning.
we were in Thousand Islands, the border there. So, I mean, Thursday at 3 p.m. or 2 p.m., like, I don't know.
Oh, you meant like there was no line at the border. I thought you
Yeah.
meant there was no border patrol.
Oh, no, there was Border Patrol. They asked lots of questions on the way into Canada. They just kept asking me, they asked where we lived. And I said, oh, I live in New York City. And she was like, do you have pepper spray? And I was like, no. She's like, do you have mace? I was like, no. And she's like, do you
What?
have a keychain with you? Like, check it. And I was like, I know I don't have pepper spray. 100% I can confirm. She's like, we get a lot of New Yorkers who carry pepper spray into the country. I was like, okay, well, I don't have any. But super fun. Highly recommend a trip to Montreal. We stayed in Old Montreal and our Airbnb was perfect. We could walk everywhere we wanted to go, which was really nice, other than we went to like their famous farmers market. Had to drive, but really fun. Did some bar hopping, some rooftop bars were really fun. Our
Wow.
meals, everything was amazing. Like the food was so good. So made some
Nice.
good picks. Highly recommend and had a lot of fun. And now back in work, but had great news this morning.
Ooh.
I have Friday and Monday off. Yeah.
Whoa.
And I didn't
Friday
even
and
know.
Monday?
I didn't even know. So
Wow. I similarly also have Monday off, which is exciting. So
yeah, the Friday was a little bit of a
yeah,
surprise. It was
that's
a
nice.
great surprise this morning. I had to go into the office every day this week. So it was nice that a 4 day week this week, 4 day week next week really, really made me
Wow.
happy.
And then it's July 4th, and then you're like off.
Yeah. And then I'm on a new project and searching my way to re networking for something else, which is fun. But yeah, how was your weekend? You were traveling as well.
My weekend was really good. It was super, super fun. We were up in Maine. We went to a wedding at the Cliff House. It was an unreal spot. Absolutely sick views. Yeah, it was really fun. We got up there Thursday, stayed up till 5 a.m. on Thursday night, 4 a.m. on Friday night. Saturday, couldn't make it past 12:30 after the after party. Also, what an absurd decision to stay up till 5 a.m. on the first night.
Stupid.
But such a great group of people, so much fun. It was an absolute blast. Wouldn't trade it for anything. So now just still trying to like recover on sleep, get back into the workout grind. We're doing some house sitting this weekend, thanks to Mr. Monopoly here over my shoulder. Such a sick little piece of art. Well, it's not a little piece of art.
Big.
Such a sick big piece of art. They have a gym in the basement, so ripping the gym for a while. It'll be really good. It'll be really good. And then there were some cool sports moments throughout the last week, so I think we can just dive right in.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get to them. We didn't have an emergency pod, which was
No.
requested for the Live PGA merger, so we have to talk about it. That has to be the first our
Yep.
first topic of the day. Love to hear. Now we're a week, I think, since the announcement ish, and we need to talk about it. Now we have a lot more information. I want to hear your thoughts now by digesting everything.
So first off, I guess it's not technically a merger. It's not like Live is just
Yeah,
coming into the PGA Tour and like, okay, it's now Live in the PGA Tour and anyone can play on any tour no matter what. That's not the deal. Like the pri the public investment fund in Saudi Arabia kind of has now, as long as it passes the Department of Justice and the US Senate and all that stuff, kind of has right of first refusal for any other investments into the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour, formerly known as the European Tour. So like it's more of a kind of overarching partnership where I believe his name is Yasser. He runs the public investment fund for the Saudis. He now has like overarching control over how the money is distributed throughout to throughout professional golf. And Jay Monahan, who's the CEO of the PGA Tour, remains as the CEO of kind of what of this. It's called a new company because they haven't named it yet. So in all their documents, it's just called new company. There's a 19 bullet point kind of press release that outlines it all. But in other news, the U.S. Senate just sent them a letter on Monday, Monday, June 12th, saying that they were going to be looking into this partnership slash merger, whatever it may be. So the PGA Tour sent a letter back to the U.S. Senate, essentially saying, "How dare you investigate us? You didn't even help us try to fight off Live Golf, all this stuff." So now it's just going to go in this massive circle. Nothing is going to happen most likely until maybe mid 2024, if I had to bet. And the whole thing about it is Jay Monahan from the PGA Tour and Yasser from the Saudi fund, they got this deal done with a couple other members of the PGA Tour who are on the board in about 7 weeks, which is completely insane to change the
Structure.
face, the structure, the everything about professional golf in as little as 7 weeks.
Yeah.
It's wild. I remember it was last Tuesday at like 10 a.m. and I had to like stop working because I was utterly stunned, and everyone's Twitter feeds were blowing up. The group chat was going nuts. Everything was crazy. And then as the week went on, it all kind of settled down a little bit. We all got a little more information, but like the way that the US news cycle works, they had to get that headline out there and it was absolutely jarring. I
Yeah.
was shocked. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting at my desk, Squawk Box is on all day at a lovely investment management firm that I work at. And the TV's right in front of my face. And I saw that scroll by. I just look at it every now and again, zone out on the TV. And I was like, what? That's can't be right. There's no way. Like, checked ESPN, checked all the news sites. Like, they didn't have anything yet, only CNBC, which was wild that they got the breaking news of like a
Wild.
sports merger, quote unquote, a sports buyout, whatever. So that was crazy. And immediately texted, like, did you see that? That's insane. Like you said, got more news as the days and now week have gone on. But the first thought, of course, was like, that's the dumbest decision
Yeah.
ever. This is so stupid. This is crazy. Why would they ever? Obviously, money always wins. So it's not that crazy when you start to think about it. The PGA needs cash, they need investment. Every league needs money every year to pay for whatever it is they need to pay. And especially the PGA, the way that in comparison to like NFL or NBA, how they pay the players is so different than like NFL, that each team has a cap, they pay the players whatever salary. Like PGA is paying these guys when they win these purses. So they're spending a lot of money on that, as well as, you learn more about all the legal proceedings, all the cases, everything going on right now. And the PGA doesn't have billions of dollars like the king of Saudi Arabia does to pay for lawyers to sit in a courtroom for thousands of dollars an hour. So that's just one piece of a puzzle of what you have to start to think about is how are they going to pay for this for years and years and years? That like the Live or PIF could do that for years. Like that would never stop. So it's really interesting. I think it's hard to think about it from a player perspective. It's frustrating for the PGA guys, and I understand. I think the wildest part of it all is like five people knew. No players, other than maybe the day before, or the night before. Some players might have gotten a phone call, but the fact that they could keep it with five people, no NDAs were signed, like there was no contractual agreements, no legal agreements to keep this quiet, and they could shock the sports world that way. I think that's a win in and of itself and crazy in and of itself. That would never happen in the NFL where something could happen like this and no one would know. There were no rumblings. So wild, but a lot of the PGA guys are not happy. They don't have a choice in the matter because it's like you said, it's not like Live in PGA. You can play in whatever tour or whatever.
Yeah.
It's more just where the money's going to be coming from, and they don't have a say in that. Then the only option to not have a say is to not play, and
Right.
that's not going to be an option. I mean, if you're a professional golfer, that's your lifeline, that's your income. You're not going to just stop doing that. So it's very interesting how it'll proceed, like you said, into 2024, how they're going to be able to structure it, how they're going to incentivize the guys that stayed in the PGA, the top guys. They're going to have to get them a boatload of cash to just appease them and get them on the side of we support this and this is a positive this is a positive situation, not for like the league, but positive situation individually for them.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely interesting to see kind of how the payouts work eventually if it actually goes through. I mean, who knows if the Department of Justice and
Yeah.
the US Senate will find things. Supposedly, maybe rumor has it that the lawsuit was going to drag out for about 5 years or so because there were players from Live that were suing the PGA Tour, and Live essentially has like unlimited money. I believe they have like, I think it's $6 trillion in their
Mm-hmm.
fund. I could be misspeaking, but I think it's about that much. And I guess the PGA Tour had already been bled dry of 50 million in just legal fees, and then they had increased all their payouts for their tournaments this year to try to keep up with Live, because now if you win a designated event, you win around like $3.5 million or something like that. So, and I think there's 11 or so
Yeah.
elevated events this year. So they already had increased that. They were getting bled dry from the legal fees. And I think the projections on revenue coming in versus uh, what they were spending, it just wasn't adding up. So it's going to be super, super interesting. There are tons of players within the PGA Tour who are very upset with Jay Monahan because the PGA Tour is a player-run organization. They voted Jay Monahan as the commissioner. It's not like um, Jay Monahan started the PGA Tour and
Yeah.
he's the end all be all. Like, the players get to vote. They have a player advisory board that votes on rule changes, the ways they spend their money, all that stuff. And there was no vote at all, similar to what you just said. And I have to think that someone like Tiger Woods found out at some point, maybe in the last week or so leading up to the announcement. But I did hear that Rory didn't find out until about 6 a.m. that day. So super, super interesting, and we're going to see where it goes. It'll
Yeah.
obviously be in the news for the next little bit. It'll probably fall out of the news once the Senate does their investigation, come back into the news once the structure of professional golf completely changes, most likely, given how much money the PIF actually has, and it's just going to be wild. And the live golf guys like Phil Mickelson and Greg Norman, who are just some of the kind of worst personalities in professional sports, just terrible. They might be great people at home, but they seem like terrible people, at least in the media and the way that they act. They're adamant that live golf isn't going anywhere, and they're being these arrogant asses about it. So it's just one of those things in sports. It's going to be wild to watch, and I'm a golf nut, so it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think from a competition and like antitrust standpoint, like if you're
Well,
not
they,
super interested in sports, but you're interested in like business, that's an interesting way
yeah.
to kind of follow along. It's interesting because you don't have like antitrust lawsuits against the NFL. I mean, we can say there's other leagues to play football,
There
but
are two other ones.
there's not. But it's an argument then of, well, PIF isn't joining all these leagues together and there's nowhere else to play. It's just technically money flowing in. And now we're a for profit entity instead of a not for profit.
Right.
So there's a lot of intricacies. And I'm sure that there were lawyers in the room when they were
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about hypotheticals of what this would look like. I mean, technically, if the leagues don't merge, you could still be on the DP World Tour, but you're getting money from PIF. So you're still on a separate tour. So there's still multiple tours.
Yep.
There's ways around the laws of these antitrust lawsuits. And it's just going to be interesting to see how they can kind of finagle this to pass that barometer of the antitrust. And even with the DP World Tour in Europe, Europe is even more strict than the US in terms of competition. And we see that with like tech companies going on right now. So, like you said, just it'll be in the news, it'll be out of the news, and then it'll be back in as decisions and as arguments are presented. But and as also evidence is presented to the Senate, like those things will be public knowledge, which will be cool to read and see. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It definitely was a shock. People were freaking out. There was a lot of emergency pods and all the golf podcasts
Yes, there
that
were.
there were a lot of emergency golf lives that people were talking about. But I think it'll be the most interesting of what the players continue to say and talk about, and just hearing their thoughts is kind of the most intriguing part, just to see where they're all landing with time and with their emotions. Like hearing that golfers were pissed, like it's kind of interesting to hear about that golf. I don't know. You don't know a ton about their personality. So it'd be cool to see and see where golf ends up. Like having more money is obviously positive. Where that money comes from now is the argument of, we morally stood on one side, and now where are we going to stand now, and do we have a choice? But like I said, we'll see over the next coming months to a year or years where this goes. And yeah, I think it's just a shocker. I don't know how they did this, how they finagled this deal, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. And then on the other end of golf, it was the RBC Canadian Open this weekend, and they played it at kind of like a funky course. And it's so funny. It's called the Canadian Open. I think it only gets played in the province of Ontario. It
Yeah.
doesn't get played anywhere else. So they should call it the RBC Canadian Provincial Open because they don't play it anywhere else.
Yeah.
So whatever, that's fine. Nick Taylor won, the first Canadian to win since 1954. So that's super cool. He made a 72-foot putt in a four-hole playoff to win. I ended up watching some of like the back nine because I had been following it when we were at the wedding, but Rory was supposed to be in the final group. I think he ended up in the second to last group. He shot 72 on Sunday. He kind of fell out of it, but I wanted to see if he was going to be in contention because last year it was him versus Justin Thomas in the final round of the RBC Canadian Open. So it typically gets like some good players strictly because it leads up to the US Open, which is this week at LA Country Club. But kind of the best thing that happened at the tournament was Adam Hadwin, a fellow Canadian, ran onto the green to spray Nick Taylor with this massive bottle of champagne. So he's running on the green, shaking it, and he gets absolutely form tackled by the security guard. That was a hell of a hit. Take the security guard to Buffalo Bills training camp. Let's see what that person can do.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely hilarious. Like the putt was electric. So everyone's already like
Yeah.
going bananas. A Canadian obviously is winning. Like the Canadian fans were singing the Canadian national anthem when Nick Taylor was on the tee box at multiple holes. Like everyone was excited. He was in contention to have like a homegrown guy. The PGA could have had a better scenario for the
Yeah.
first tournament after this
I
announcement.
know.
We just talked about the announcement to get some media off their back. But the tackle, it was the many angles of the cameras of the tackle. It was it was crazy. People were tweeting that Hadwin was going to have to withdraw from the U.S. Open because of the hit because he was hurt. He's fine and he's playing.
Yeah.
But funny enough, LA Country Club in his locker left him a little note and basically said like he was safe here and put safety gear in his locker at LA Country Club and told him if he needed to wear that to make sure security knew he was a golfer and not a spectator. But all in all, a great tournament. I didn't watch anything other than the playoff holes, but it's always fun when there's a playoff hole and you can watch. But it was a great tournament, and I won't probably watch the U.S. Open much. Maybe Sunday. I know you'll be watching. Hopefully, you have some downtime this weekend to relax and watch golf. And like you mentioned here, it's prime time because we got a West Coast tournament. So East
Yeah.
Coasters are really in a good spot for this.
Yeah. So for Thursday and Friday of this week, it's going to be awesome because after work, you can still tune in. Guys are teeing off at 4 o'clock Eastern because it's 1 o'clock Pacific. So like you can watch their entire round essentially, minus the first couple holes. But I mean, I'll be setting up some sort of spot where there's a TV right over my computer screen as typical of all the big
Yes.
golf tournaments. I did that for the Masters. I was on my bachelor party for the PGA, so I was paying attention to it. We'll do it for the US Open, and then the British Open is always on at like 5 a.m. So I typically wake up pretty early for those rounds, and that's in July. Honestly, I think that might be our wedding weekend. So I won't
Oh
I
boy.
won't I don't think I'll be waking up early
I don't think
pre-wedding
so.
to watch that. Maybe I'll still be awake because I stay up till 5 a.m. So then I'll just stay up.
You shouldn't do that for your
I
wedding.
know, I know.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not.
think you'll be pleased.
I'm not going to do that for the wedding, but I'm just saying it I'm saying a funny there. Um, but yeah, it's going to be a great weekend, and I think we're going to do a little shopping, do a little just do a little suburban life out
Yeah,
here,
it's not
which will
bad.
be nice. No,
Not
it'll be
bad.
really nice.
The
Get my
cooking.
fitness in.
Yeah, Ethan's back in the gym.
I am. I'm.
He's in
I'm.
crunch time for the wedding. We're almost 30 days out. Oh my God, we're almost
We're
30
like
days
we're like
out.
third. I think it's like 38 days out or
Wow, I need
something.
to go for a run. My God, we got
Well, except for last week, you talked about your run, and you were
yeah.
injured
I
and all that stuff.
ran I ran for the first time again yesterday. Did a little the Orange Theory run.
Oh, okay.
We didn't feel good after. We
No,
were
I mean, how could you?
things were hurting.
Could you say we've lost a step?
I haven't gained it back, so we're still in the yeah.
We're still losing.
Yeah. Well, in other sports news, Well, I guess we have to say, and we don't really need to comment, but the NBA Finals are over. Congratulations to the Denver Nuggets. They
No,
won,
the Denver Chicken Nuggets did not get microwaved, so good for them. Except Nikola Jokic wasn't even excited to win. I'm not sure if you saw any of that stuff. He's like, I just want to go home.
which is hilarious. It
Hysterical.
is so funny. But yeah, so they won. Congrats to them, I guess. And in other news, the NHL draft is coming up, which is really
Yeah.
riveting stuff, I know, for everyone. But I wanted to take a different kind of approach to the NHL draft. We're not really going to talk about it like the prospects. Who cares? I only know one prospect or two, maybe.
And he's going number one
And he's
overall.
going number
So
one, so it doesn't matter. But they do the combine in Buffalo. They do a bunch of physical tests like vertical jump and VO2 max on a bike and all that fun stuff. I mean, it really has no indication if anyone's going to be good, but whatever. They also do interviews. So, to give you a little behind the scenes, each team can schedule 15-minute interviews with a select number of prospects that they pick. And a lot of times it'll just be like learn about them as human beings, ask about their life, interests, whatever, maybe watch some video, see kind of how their hockey IQ, what they think. But a lot of teams, or I shouldn't say a lot, some teams ask some wacky questions. Like, for example, Columbus Blue Jackets asked one of the prospects this year, you know, what would you want someone to say at your funeral? Like, what would be your dream for someone to say at your funeral? So weird to ask, like,
kid's 17 years old and you're asking him about when he's gonna die.
and
Like,
just like, obviously you want to ask things they didn't prep for, but it's freaking weird. So I wanted to pose a little question to both of us, and we should answer both of our questions.
okay.
And I did have one prepped, and now I can't remember. So you're gonna go first. If you were an NHL GM, what question would you ask the top prospects to determine if you were going to take them in the draft? And it can't be like, what's your goal as an NHLer? Like a question to like throw them off.
Yeah, like what's your favorite color?
Yeah.
Um, what no, so I'm just joking, but like, so what dinosaur do you think you identify as? Like those are all the dumb like
Yeah.
interview questions
That's a
that
good one.
no, I okay. So, but I have a different question
Okay.
because I'm a fan of the Buffalo Sabres and the way that kind of they were mismanaged and a lot of their young prospects left. I would love to know. I would love to ask a top prospect. Do you think it's an honor to play in the NHL, or do you think that you deserve it?
Okay. I was thinking, like, what animal do you think you are? My God. That's like so not okay.
I'm coming from a I'm a
I'll
nut
answer it.
job hockey fan.
I'll answer it as a prospect. I would absolutely say it's an honor.
Of course, but then you'd get on the team and then the team would stink for 3 years and you demand a trade.
It's still an honor. And that's not the question. They wouldn't say in 3 years are you going to demand a trade. They're going to say no. I believe in your organization and the plan you have to like whatever prepare prospects and prepare players to get better. Like you would always say it's not. What would you say? Would you say no? I deserve to be here.
No, I would say that it's an honor. So I guess that was a stupid question. Okay, so flipping the page back one, what type of dinosaur do you identify as and why?
I would be a pterodactyl
Okay.
because I want to be the dinosaur that can fly. That is an added skill. That's like an elite player has one thing that they're like so good at. Like Connor McDavid, his crossovers, his speed is like elite. Pterodactyls can fly. That is elite that they can get around like that. Tyrannosaurus Rex, they're big. They got little arms though. They got something to inhibit their ability to hunt prey, you know? And I don't know what pterodactyls eat, but I'm going to say that they eat other animals
I believe they're carnivores. If
that
you've
they're
ever watched
carnivores.
Jurassic Park, they ate a lot of people in Jurassic Park.
So I want to be able to fly and go
Eat
after
and eat people.
my enemies the best way possible. And I want to attack. That would be my answer. Pterodactyl.
What letter does pterodactyl start with?
P, I believe.
Nice,
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you. Thank you. I learned that at some point. I couldn't spell the word if you asked me.
Really?
Could you spell pterodactyl?
Pterodactyl.
This is like when I was in fourth grade, I was in the spelling bee
I guess I
and
hold on. I think I can. P Pteryodactyl. Pterodactyl.
wait, what did you say? I think you got it right. Can you do it again?
Oh shit.
Don't mess it up
P
now.
P T E R
Nope, wrong.
Yodacpl. Fuck. Well, how do you spell it?
Peteractyl.
Oh, I don't know why I thought there was a Y in there early, but
Yeah, me neither. What? It's also the largest flying animal. Another
nifty.
bingo there. What would you be? You have to answer your own.
I would probably be a velociraptor because they are speedy and shifty and they're able to like get in and out of places really quick. So like you wouldn't get hit a lot as a hockey player if you're a velociraptor, but then you also have like the killer instinct too. So that I'd be a velociraptor.
Nice. It's a good answer.
Nice.
My question is, if you could only wear one color for the rest of your life, what color would it be and why? That everything, shirt, pants, shorts, shoes, socks, everything.
Socks. I'd be a navy blue monster. I'd only wear navy blue
Why?
because I look good in navy blue.
You would
I would wear navy blue everywhere.
look good, feel
Everywhere.
good, play good.
See, exactly. Look good, feel good, play good, wheel good, all that stuff.
You wouldn't pick the color of the team that's asking you?
Well, see, that's very case dependent. You didn't say what team you were from. You just asked me what color, so I said navy blue.
You gotta think. You
And
gotta think.
I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan, and navy blue is sometimes in their thing. So navy blue.
Okay, that's a great question. Or
Are
that's a
you
great
gonna?
answer.
I mean, you have to answer your own
I know
question
I'm
though.
thinking of my answer as I'm speaking. I don't know. I think I would lean towards the
I'm from the Anaheim Ducks.
Oh, ooh, I would choose. I don't think that I don't want to wear their ugly brown.
It's orange, silver, it's orange, silver, white, and black.
I would probably pick black no matter
Okay.
what. And I would say because my brain is currently turning right
Yeah.
now,
Why are you wearing all black?
I was gonna compare it to being like a robber or like a spy, and I could be shifty and hide in plain sight. And
What if the sun's out?
I think if you wear like pink, you're more noticeable.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I would say black because I get the job done. I'm not overly flashy. I'm not someone who stands out in front of all these people, but I'm like a robber, like a spy, and I can complete the mission and no one even knows I'm there and I'm an asset to the team. That is the
Are you
answer.
like Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice,
That is
nice.
absolutely. And my answer probably would change every time someone asks me because I still don't feel confident in that answer. But I think everyone should think about some wacky questions to ask yourself and how would you answer? Like in a job interview, they ask you some weird things too that you're just like, I don't know how to answer that. But good exercise. Anyways, any other sports moments? I guess should we talk about quickly, very quickly, the Buffalo Bills, the drama that happened about 4 hours ago?
So I was going to talk about this in the hot or not section, but
Okay, we can talk about it then.
I'll just address it quickly right now. I'm so done with the rich athletes who get all their signing bonus money and then feel like they don't need to be a part of the team anymore. And this is kind of what's happening with Stephon Diggs. Regardless of the all this stuff that's all going to be on Twitter, like the rich entitled athlete thing where it's like, well, so and so did this, so I'm not going to report to training camp because I'm unhappy about last season. Last season was 7 months ago, first of all. Like you have no idea what's occurring. Now I'm not saying that they don't deserve their money. I'm totally fine with their contracts being the way that they are. That doesn't bother me whatsoever. But once you get paid, you need to show up to work because you've gotten paid and you're still getting paid a lot more money after that.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to figure it out and you need to show up to work and not throw tantrums.
Yeah.
That's all I
I
have to say on that.
I just think Buffalo sports, man, can't catch
Cursed
a
forever.
damn break. Everything was great.
It
Everything was
was.
exciting. Mandatory mini camp started. Stephon Diggs was there yesterday for his mandatory physical. Everything was awesome. He's in the city. He was in the building.
He was in the building this morning.
And just didn't show up to practice. And my favorite thing that Josh Allen said, and it is telling that all the players are saying like we have Stephon Diggs back, which is a very vocal statement from the players to
It
kind of
is.
not be neutral, but very much pro whatever's going on. Who knows? We better find out too after all this commotion.
I've been reading a lot. I think it all has to do with Ken Dorsey, the offensive coordinator. Ken Dorsey is Josh Allen is a huge supporter of Ken Dorsey because he was his quarterback's coach when Josh Allen kind of rose up to his now stardom within the NFL. And Stephon Diggs doesn't like the plays that he calls.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like I can get it, but at the same time, he's only been the offensive coordinator for one season. If the Bills' offense is shit again this year, that guy needs to get fired, and I don't really care.
yeah, I agree. I think it's very interesting. And Josh Allen said I talked to him this morning, and he said he doesn't want to be a distraction. Well, that is literally exactly what is
It's
happening
exactly what happened today. Yeah.
right now. So I guess we'll have to see next week when we record if there's any developments. If he showed up tomorrow to practice,
Also, the last thing about the NFL is the mandatory mini camp in June when training camp starts in July. I also think is kind of just like a whole crock of shit too, because like they have the what is it, the optional training activities, the
yeah,
OTAs, optional team activities, whatever they're called. And then if you don't show up to that, it's like, oh, it doesn't really matter, but you're not a huge team guy if you don't go. Diggs didn't go to that. He was hanging out with the Amish, which those pictures are hilarious, absolutely hilarious. And now this mandatory minicamp stuff, like, there's no way they're doing stuff in June that cannot be done in July.
yeah,
It's just not. And if you want to call it team building, I think that's totally fine. If someone were to come back to me and say, Ethan, it's about being part of the team and building the rapport and all that stuff, hey, totally get it. But like, it's also professional sports. Like at a certain point, you're either a good teammate or you're a bad teammate, and nothing's going to change there.
yeah,
So Diggs is very clearly like he says I am him. He's a me guy most of the time until it's like the crucial time in the game when he wants the ball. And then he's a team guy. At least that's from my point of view. I could be way off. I have no idea. But like I just think mandatory minicamp's stupid
yeah. I agree.
because it's creating drama that doesn't need to be created.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Well, we'll see what happens, I guess. Should we go into our hot or not this week?
Yep. Yep.
Our first hot is in the normal news, non sports news. Colombian children were found in the Amazon. I believe it's 3 or 4 kids. And the oldest was, I think, 12, like
Wow.
young, all the way ranging down to a baby. And they were found in the Amazon after being lost for 40 days from a plane crash where unfortunately their mother passed away in the crash. And the oldest kid kept them alive for 40 days, all of them. They're all found, and
40 days.
the 12-year-old or 13-year-old knew to find fruit, to find water. They lived off fruit for 40 days in the rainforest. Who I don't know if they got lucky they didn't pick anything poisonous. Like absolutely insane that some 4 kids could last in the rainforest for 40 days. And I'm just telling you, I wouldn't. I wouldn't
No.
make it
No.
at 40 days.
What are the odds they make a movie out of this?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you watch it? Because I probably won't.
I probably won't either.
Yeah.
Depends on how long it is. If it's like a 45-minute doc, I'll probably watch. But moving on to not also in the normal news world and impacted New York City, where I am, was the Canadian wildfires, which happened in Quebec and didn't impact Montreal at all.
That's
But
good.
it was like the apocalypse here. They were handing out masks again because the air quality was quote unquote toxic. We were in the 400s. I believe the metrics really only go to 500 or something. The worst air quality in the entire world, which is absolutely insane. Usually our numbers are like 13 and we were at 420 or something crazy. They had a ground stop at airports because pilots couldn't see through the smoke
Crazy.
and it smelled like burning tires when you were walking outside. So absolutely insane, not hot at all that smoke coming down.
Even though wildfires are hot, but the smoke not hot.
Correct, correct.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, it was just a crazy experience for sure, but everything's cleared up now.
Good.
Moving.
Oh, look, I see some wildfire smoke on Twitter as we speak. It's
Oh,
moving back. It's moving back towards New York City.
oh, wonderful.
Mm.
Wonderful. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. But our next hot NCAA college baseball, a little sports news. This happened the other day, and I believe now Stanford has lost and
It
is.
happened on Sunday, and Stanford won.
Oh, Stanford won. Okay. Well, good news. But their pitcher, Quinn Matthews, he threw 156 pitches, crazy number, especially in college. They usually don't let these guys pitch like even 90. They usually are
Crazy
trying
in
to
any. It's crazy at any level of baseball.
yeah, they don't let these pitchers pitch that long anymore. and complete game, kept them alive in a knockout game. They were down 1-0, best of three, and just bananas. And after the game, they asked him about it and asked him about the game the next day. And he was like, I probably could throw again tomorrow. Like, I probably could pitch again tomorrow if I'm needed. So it's just a cool, like, we keep saying good guy story, cool good guy story for college athletes. And it's always, college sports are always fun to watch because you really never know what's going to happen or like who the hero is going to be. But very interesting to see. I haven't kept up really with any of it. I watched the softball championship, but not any of the baseball, but cool to watch.
I mean, how could you watch college baseball? College has been over for what, a month minimum now, and the College World Series for men doesn't end until the end of June, and then college starts again in August. So those guys, it seems like they're just 12-month a year students most likely because
Yeah.
I guess maybe they take summer classes, but how can you even take a summer class? Because that starts in May, and then you're still in season, and then it's the regional, the super regional, and then the College World Series. So like if you want the college experience as a college baseball player, go to some team that stinks because then you get your summer.
Yeah, true. But I
But if you
mean,
want to win championships, yeah,
yeah. And like we used to stay over winter break, which is a month, and play games as hockey. So
true.
like same thing. I mean, they get their falls. They get their time to have fun and now they're just on campus going to practice. Like I don't think it's that tough of a life.
That's
But
true too.
our next not is Conor McGregor. Did you see this story?
No.
Okay. Well, game 4, I think it was in Miami, they had a little skit to promote this like healing spray as like a commercial, as an advertisement during the game. So Conor McGregor was at the game and they had him punch the mascot of Miami Heat.
Okay. I did see this story.
I
Yeah,
believe his name's Bernie, which is kind of funny, like Burn, Miami Heat. And he had to go to the hospital because he punched him so hard in the mascot suit, which is
it's
just unreal.
ridiculous.
He couldn't have laid off just a tad.
I mean, Conor McGregor's always going to be his authentic self for the most part, which is going to get him into which gets him into trouble too. So
Yeah.
I did see the story, but I saw your note and it said Conor McGregor, and I was like, what else did he do? Because it didn't say anything about the Heat. So
No, that's it. Just Conor McGregor. Okay. Should we? Let's move on to our last hot or nots of this week. I have here as a hot. It's actually happening this evening in Oakland, California. The Oakland Athletics fans are hosting or having a reverse boycott. They are 17 and 50 this season. They stink and they are moving to Las Vegas. They've already
supposedly it's not
supposedly
guaranteed.
not guaranteed. Also, the owners' meetings are this week, so it's properly timed. And basically, the excuse that the organization is having is that the fans don't show up, even though they did set a record in, I believe it's 2020 or 2019 for playoff game attendance when they were good. So that's not a really good argument. And now no one goes because they stink and they know they're moving and they hate the owner. But they're hosting a reverse boycott. They're trying to sell out the game. They sold thousands of t-shirts that have just the word sell on it, trying to influence selling the team, which probably won't work, but I think it's an interesting tactic. I think it's a funny tactic by the fans, and I thought it was a hot, definitely not a not.
It's certainly a hot. I think it's nice that the Oakland Athletics fans can organize like something to that extent
Yeah,
and actually have the tickets get sold. I'm willing to bet it's the best. I mean, it's probably going to be the best they play all season because the place is going to be full. And like you said, like the A's just don't operate with a large payroll, and that's always been their thing. The movie Moneyball is based on
yep,
that from, I believe, 2003 or maybe 2002, around the Oakland A's, how they won. I think they won their division or won the wild card and then made it to the divisional series. And I think their whole payroll was 25 million, and the Yankees payroll was hundreds of millions of dollars, if not, well, it wouldn't have been more than that because it was 2002 or 2003.
yeah,
But regardless, if their payroll's 7 times yours, I mean, you should never win. And they took them to game 5. I think they ultimately lost. Spoiler alert. But the movie's super, super interesting. So go watch Moneyball. I'm rooting for the Oakland A's fans. Hopefully the owner does sell the team and then they don't have to move. But they certainly need a stadium upgrade of some variety.
yeah. Now he's not going to sell the team. Money's in his eyes moving to Vegas with all these
Yeah,
teams,
right.
but definitely they're on a 6-game winning streak, so they're moving up. If they win
They
every
were
game,
11. Wait, they were 11 and 50.
17 and 50.
No, but
Oh
But
yeah,
now
yeah,
they're
yeah.
on. Oh, woof.
Yeah, no, they're bad. They're really bad. Yeah. But we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna check in to see how many people actually show up to the game. And our last not of the week, this was sent in by our mom, actually. I hadn't really been caught up on the story, but baby Gronk is
Excuse
our
me, I wasn't in that
yeah,
group
you
text.
were.
Was I drunk this weekend?
Really, you can answer that question yourself.
I was.
But baby Gronk has now caused a major commotion in the sports world for not good things at all. Basically, crazy sports dad DMing,
Yes.
emailing, texting, calling hundreds of times to coaches, to media personalities, podcasters, Barstool, all these things to try to get his, I want to say sixth grader, fifth grader son, who he thinks is the next Gronk, to basically just become famous and take all of his kids' money from getting famous because that's the type of guy he is if you watch any of the interviews. But crazy, he DMs teams to be like, hey, can we get baby Gronk a verbal offer? And so I can post it on our Instagram and like get followers and make money off my kid pretty much since this kid doesn't even run his own account in fifth grade. But just a not crazy sports parents capitalizing on the new world of commercials and advertisements and influencer culture is bogus. And I think his account should be taken down and he shouldn't be allowed to attend any of his child sporting events from now on.
I agree. My fiance's locked out of the house. Give me 1 second.
Okay, we'll pause. You're back. You're back.
Eventful. I'm back. I'm back.
She in?
I'm out of breath. She's in. I had to run up and down the stairs.
Phew.
Baby Gronk probably doesn't run out of breath.
Definitely not.
But yeah, I mean, it's just the way of the world now, right? So with Jesus, my heart is pounding. Leave this all in. It's too funny that I'm out of shape. Okay. It's just the way the world is. Everyone's trying to get Insta famous, TikTok famous, go viral. He's probably trying to get his son to commit to LSU or something like that. As a fifth grader, probably be known as the youngest ever.
Yep.
But at the same time, like if he stinks when he's in college, then it's all for nothing.
We don't even know if he's going to make it into like high school football.
Right.
Like we haven't even gotten there. He's not even in middle school yet. So who knows? But crazy, crazy story, crazy parents. And on that note, any last thoughts before we close it up?
Nope. I'll just be working on my fitness.
Working on
Oh,
my fitness.
it's game 5 of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. The cup is in the house tonight. So all these games now I will be watching until the very end, no
Yep.
matter what, just to see potentially Lord Stanley. I can't get into the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights are cheaters and they don't deserve to win the cup. All the fake Vegas Golden Knights fans that live in Las Vegas would probably say otherwise. They're going to say, we earned this Stanley Cup. No, you didn't. You cheated for half the season, so I don't
Okay.
want to hear it.
Now you weren't going to say anything about it.
Well, I did. I said something about it.
Everyone say a prayer for the Nikki Cats. Amen. Hallelujah. Hope everyone has a great rest of your week and a great weekend. And we will talk to you guys next week.
Woo!
Woo!